Good morning, good morning, good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon, good evening, good evening, good evening. Um, Welcome back to this tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to talk about the database and as well as the DBMS together with the software that is good for the database management system, specifically on a Windows machine. What we are going to talk about right now is the practical part. But before we delve into practical, we need to talk about the bit theory part of database management system. We must understand what database is, and then after that we must understand what database is. Okay. So now what we are going to talk about right now, we are going to start with the database. What is the database, or what comes in our mind when we say the database? When we say the database, we mean the collection of data stored electronically. It can be in devices, it can be in other electronic devices. But as long as the data is stored electronically, data that can be accessed when the device is if you're recharged or really charged, it is what we call the database. Okay. So now we are saying the database is the collection of data that is stored electronically, which means without the electronic device, it's very much difficult for us to to put the data or to store the data in the databases. Okay. But remember, we can define it in that way, but there are a lot of ways of defining the databases. It's not only by electronic means. We can still store the data using the files and as well as folders, in which in further explanations we are going to talk about that. Okay. So now today we are going to talk about XAMPP. But before we talk about XAMPP, by the way, we need to talk about the database management system. Now, what is that database management system? Commonly abbreviated as the DBMS. We are talking about the software that manages the databases. Okay. So when we say it manages the databases, we mean it's able to create the databases, to delete the databases, to write the queries, to create the tables. That is what we call the DBMS. It's able to manage the databases. For us to write the codes that creates the databases, we must have the DBMS. I'm sure that one is very, very much simple and straight forward. Okay. So now we need to proceed to the first part, which is XAMPP, and as well as the PHPMYADMIN. Now what we're going to talk about right now is XAMPP. We'll start with XAMPP, and of course when talking about XAMPP, we will also include the PHPMYADMIN under MySQL, or rather MariaDB, on the features of XAMPP, the one that we have right now. Okay. So now what we are going to do right now, it's we're going to start with the practical lab guide, and this is the Windows edition. We will talk about the database management system practical, where we are going to delve into the step-by-step guide to installing and as well as using XAMPP, or rather understanding each component, and as well as writing SQL queries in PHPMYADMIN. So we are going to do that, ladies and gentlemen. This is not something difficult. It is something very, very much easier. This PowerPoint is presented by Rockville University, the Department of ICT. Thank you very much. So we move to the second part, where we are going to start our topic now. We'll start with XAMPP itself. We must understand what XAMPP is. We must understand what XAMPP is. Okay. So now from the definition, as you can see right now, we are saying XAMPP is a free open source software package that installs a local web server on your Windows computer. It bundles everything you need to run a PHP website, and as well as manage databases locally. No internet is required. So this is XAMPP. It is the open source software package that installs the local web servers on your Windows computer. But when you look at XAMPP itself, from the letter XAMPP, believe me, when you're talking about this X, the one which is on XAMPP, it says closed platform, so which means XAMPP can be installed in multiple operating systems, not only in Windows but also in Mac operating system. This XAMPP can be installed, and that's the meaning of X, which is the closed platform. XAMPP, it is compatible to multiple operating systems. In short, Linux operating systems just running the web servers, you can still install XAMPP. Why? Because of the first feature, which is X, and that is the closed platform there. Okay, so now let's talk about what does XAMPP stands for. Let's talk about what XAMPP stands for, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so now we have got the first part, which is X. X means close a platform. Okay, cross a platform. So which means XAMPP can be installed in any a device, as long as there is an operating system, as long as there is the system software in that device, XAMPP can be installed. That is the first part we have there on X there, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so now that is the first part, which is X there. Now what about the second one, which is A? A stands for Apache. A stands for what? For Apache. Now, what is the meaning of this Apache? So, which means we are able to run our websites, locally. We are able to run our websites locally. We are able to test our website locally without our device, getting connected to the internet. We are able to run our websites there. Okay, we are able to run that. Okay, that is good. What about MariaDB or rather MySQL? What's the meaning of that? That is where now we are going to manually forecast on. That's where now we are going to find PHPMYADMIN. That's where now we are going to find the databases now. The one that we talked about in the first place when we started talking about this practical. We talked about a database and as well as the DBMS. Now in this M part of XAMPP, that is where now we have got what we call the PHPMYADMIN, which is the DBM as a database management system software. Okay, I think that one is very, very much easier and straightforward. Now what about P? Okay, P, the first P in XAMPP stands for PHP, which is a hypertext preprocessor. Now you don't have to be confused or rather to be disturbed about these abbreviation. When we say PHP, a long time ago they used to call this as the personal homepage. They used to call this as what? As personal homepage. But this time around it is called what? Hypertext preprocessor, because of its powerful functionalities. It has got a lot of powerful functions that are able to install or rather to store data in the databases. It's able to do what? To work as the mediator between the front end and as well as the back end, and that's the reason why they later on changed to hypertext preprocessor instead of personal homepage. That is on what? On PHP language there. Then we have got the Perio there. Perio is a language that supports this XAMPP. Okay, it's the language that supports this XAMPP. So without this Perio programming language, this XAMPP cannot function properly as it supposed to function just like that. Okay, now let's talk about why I use XAMPP for database practicals. Why are we choosing this XAMPP over these other software that we have? Okay, so now number one, for you to run XAMPP, you don't need internet connection. Everything runs on your local machine, just like this. Everything runs on the on the local machine, just like that. You don't have to get your computer connected to the internet. XAMPP is going to do what? To do everything, all the features that needs to be activated by the internet when running the databases. They will be automatically running because of what? Because of the XAMPP software which is installed in your software there, or rather in your computer there. That's the first point. That's the reason why we are choosing XAMPP over these other databases that we have, or the DBMS software that we have. Okay, then the second one, free, beginner friendly and easy to install on Windows. It is very easy, ladies and gentlemen, to install XAMPP. On the next tutorial we'll talk about the step-by-step guide or step-by-step ways on how we can install this XAMPP software. Okay, so now we have got the second part, which is the free, beginner friendly and easy to install on Windows. So on Windows systems, XAMPP, it's very much easier to be to be installed. It's just you download one click, then it is installed in the computer there. You don't have to sweat, you don't have to suffer for this. It's the simple and straight forward thing. Okay, and then we have got the third one, which is perfect for learning SQL. SQL, ladies and gentlemen, it stands for structured query language. Now, what do we do, or what is the meaning of this structured query language? This is the programming language that we use when creating the databases. If you want to create the databases running queries, you use what? You use a structured query language. And we are saying this XAMPP software, it is perfect and good for what? For structured query language, creating databases and as well as running queries. That's the reason why, or that's the third reason why we're choosing XAMPP over these other databases that we have. Okay, then what about the second last includes the PHPMYADMIN. So now PHPMYADMIN, this is the visual tool to manage your databases. If you want your databases to be managed easily, you need what? PHPMYADMIN feature in XAMPP, ladies and gentlemen. So you need to do what? You will need to use this XAMPP because of this feature, which is the PHPMYADMIN, a visual tool to manage your databases, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, then the last point, the reason why we choose XAMPP over these other databases, it is because it is used widely in universities and web development training. This time around, ladies and gentlemen, you're at the university, and of course you use this XAMPP. Why? Because it is very, very much lightweight. It's very, very much it's very, very much easier for you to do what? To use. Very, very much easier for you to catch the database concepts, because of what? Because of its simplicity, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so now the last point we had, it's that this XAMPP is used widely in universities and web development training. If you want to do web development, of course you'd want to do what? To collect data from the users, and of course you need the database to store that data, and that's where now you use this software, which is called XAMPP software. Okay, just like that. Okay, now for this practical, you need to do what? To follow the following guidelines, ladies and gentlemen. The computer must have the following, or rather you need to have the following things, or to follow the following steps in order for you to install this XAMPP software in your in your machine. The first thing that you must have, it is the Windows PC, the computer specifically for Windows, ladies and gentlemen. If you're using Mac computer, Linux computer for the servers, there's no problem. You can still do that. There's no problem. Okay, so now we have what? The first one, which is the Windows PC, and that is 7, 8, 10 or 11. Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 10, Windows 11. This version of XAMPP, it is compatible to all these operating systems that we have listed here. Okay, then we have got two, which is what? Which is XAMPP installer from Apache Flens.organization. Apache Flens.organization. We have got XAMPP installer. You must have this setup from this. Of course, you must download this XAMPP before you start doing your databases. You have to make sure that you download what? You download this XAMPP. You put it in your computer there, and that is the installer. Where are you getting, or where are you finding this installer? You are finding it from where? From the Apache Friends.organization. This is their site. So if you want to download this software, you just have to go, or rather to open any web browser like Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge. Just search for Apache Friends.org. It is going to give you the provision, or it is going to display the links that will redirect you to the page where you need to download this software, which is the XAMPP. Okay, then we have got the third one, a web browser. You must have the web browser like a Chrome, Edge, or rather Firefox. You must have this for you to run this XAMPP. Of course, it is the web based software. So you must have that. You must have the what is this? The web browser. Okay, you must have the Chrome, Edge, or rather Firefox. You must have it. Okay, then you have got the last one, which is you start on the Apache and as well as MySQL modules. You start Apache and as well as MySQL modules, just like that. You need Apache number one to host your machine, or to host if it's your system locally. Then you need MySQL for databases. So only two modules that you must do that you must start. The first one, it is Apache, and the second one, it is what? It is MySQL modules. Okay, now when you look at this XAMPP control panel here, believe me, this is something which is very simple. You don't have to sweat, you don't have to panic when you see something like this. This is a XAMPP control panel. That is where now you decide, now do you want to start Apache, or you don't want to start Apache? Do you want to stop it? Do you want to start it? Or rather, do you want to start MySQL, or you want to stop MySQL? That's where now you do what? You find all the operations, and that's the reason why it is called XAMPP control panel. That's when now you control everything. You have got admin there. Do you want to locate or to be redirected to the admin Apache? Then you click on admin configurations. What do you want to configure? Logs, what errors, and being output by this example software there. You check it properly, you do what? You will be guided using this XAMPP control, what XAMPP control panel, just like that. Okay, so you don't have to be much confused about this panel. It's very much simple and easier panel to follow or to master. Okay, so you have to make sure that you put this in mind, that it's the software that we are going to use in building our databases, or rather drawing our architectures of our databases, just like that. Okay, remember here we have got Apache, MySQL, FileZilla, Mercure, and as well as Tom Cat. We will explain all these, and of course here, that's where now we have got understanding of each module that we have, understanding of each module that we have. With the first module, which is the Apache module. So this is the web server. Now it does what? It handles request and the server web pages. Okay, it handles the HTTP hypertext transfer protocol request, and as well as the server web pages. So now here, this one, Apache is the one that acts as the local server. Of course, if you are not connected to the internet in real time, you cannot log into the student portal. Why? Because you are not connected to the internet. There's no connection between your device and as well as the server there. Now, how do you get connected to to your student portal there? You need the internet connection, number one. You need your internet connection, or your phone must be connected to the internet in order for you to access the student portal. Now, in this context, because we are talking about the local things right now. Okay, so now what connects us to the web browsers to do whatever we want to do now there without the internet restrictions? That's where now we have got what we call the Apache module, in example control panel, just like that. Okay, so this must be running to access localhost, and as well as the PHPMYADMIN, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, now we move to the second part, which is MySQL. Okay, so this is the database engine MariaDB. It stores and manages all your databases and tables. Okay, all your databases and tables, and this must be running for SQL queries, ladies and gentlemen. You want to write the queries, understand the codes that allows you to create the databases. Of course, you need what we call the MySQL, ladies and gentlemen. So this one is for the database engine. Okay, it stores and manages all your databases and as well as the tables, and it must be running for structured query language queries. Okay, just like that. That's on the MySQL. Of course, these are the two major important modules that you must understand in this example control panel here. Okay, then you have got FileZilla here. We don't have to forget these other features that we have. We need to make sure that we do what we talk about them. Okay, so now FileZilla. What's the meaning of this FileZilla? So now when you talk about this FileZilla, we talk of the file transfer protocol server. Okay, so now if you want to transfer your files from local machine to the internet so that everyone can access that, you need what? You need the FileZilla. This one is for transferring files, not needed for database practicals. It is not needed here. Okay, so I'm just going to explain this for the sake of knowledge, but it's not needed in this practical that we are going to do after understanding this example software here. Okay, so now FTP, this is file transfer protocols, and of course this one it is used to transfer files on the internet so that everyone can do what, can access. Of course, this one is not even needed here. I'm just explaining here, or rather giving explanations for the sake of knowledge. Just like that. Okay, that's on the files area. Now, what about on the second last feature, which is the Mercury now? Email mail server not needed for database practicals. If your system that you're building needs emails as well as mail servers or whatsoever, you need to make sure that this feature is put to use. You have to make sure that you put this feature to use. It is going to help you a lot, ladies and gentlemen. Then the last one is Tomcat Java servlet container not needed for database practical. This one is for the Java programming languages. This example, it's also compatible with Java programming language, so that one is not even needed for this practical. So now we are going to measure or to mainly focus on on the first feature, which is the Apache, and as well as the second feature, which is MySQL. Just like that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, good. Let's move to another part, which is a starting example step by step. Now starting example step by step. Now, what are the step by step ways that we must follow in order for us to start XAMPP? Well, this is what we are going to talk about right now. Okay, so now we have got the first one. Now open XAMPP control panel. So now you have to navigate to this directory C or XAMPP and double click XAMPP control.exe or search XAMPP in the Windows Start menu. Run as administrator for best result. So now you just search on the what is this Windows Start menu there. Then you search what is this? You search for XAMPP. It is going to do what? It is going it's going to display XAMPP feature in the computer. If XAMPP is truly installed in the computer, it's going to do what? To be displayed there. Then you click on what? On the same XAMPP there. You click on the XAMPP control panel. It is going to do what? It is going to be opened. The same XAMPP control panel is going to be opened just like that. Okay, so that is the first feature. Open XAMPP control panel, navigate to see XAMPP and double click XAMPP or rather control.exe. That's the executable setup, or search XAMPP in the Windows Start menu. Of course, it is going to do what? It is going to do that just like that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, so now here we need to talk about what is this. Okay, so we have got this. Okay, we talked about the first one, which is open XAMPP control panel. Now on the start menu here, if we say XAMPP like this, we say XAMPP. Okay, XAMPP, it is going to do what? To pop up like this. Here, this is my XAMPP here. Now, if I click on this XAMPP here, you see what is going to happen. Okay, this is the control panel, the one that we are talking about right now. XAMPP control panel right now. This is the one that we are talking about right now. So here it is started, and as well as this one, it is started. So I've stopped Apache, and I've also stopped MySQL. Now, if you want to use this Apache, you will start this one, then you go to the second one. Of course, this one is going to give you the ports where it is running. Then of course on the second one here, which is MySQL, if you click on MySQL there, it is going to do what? It is going to give you something like that, and it's also going to tell you the port where it is running on, just like that. Okay, let me switch off this, and as well as switch off that. Okay, so that is where now we say navigate to XAMPP, or rather see XAMPP. Now on this one navigation there, if you don't want to search like this, you click on this, then you go to XAMPP down here. This is or you go to this PC, then you have got the first one here where Windows is installed, the disk that holds Windows files there, which is C there, local disk C. Then you double click there, then down here you are going to find XAMPP there. Double click on XAMPP there, then search for XAMPP control panel. This is the one that we have here, which is here an application there. If you double click this one, it is going to also give you the same thing here like this. Okay, Good. So the shortcut way of doing this is by just searching here. We're going to say XAMPP like this, and of course it is going to do it to reflect there, just like that, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, good. Then we have got the second, which is start Apache. Click the start button next to Apache. The module name turns green when running. This powers your local web server on port 80. Now if we do this, we say XAMPP here, we follow what is written there, we open it like this, then we say start here. You see what is going to happen here. Okay, so now here it is giving us port 80. This is port 80 we are talking about right now. This is port 80 we are talking about right now, and of course here it is turned to green, simply showing that this Apache it is what it is running. So same applies to MySQL. MySQL it is going to show that it is what it is running here, just like that. Okay, so this is what we are talking about right now. Then you start MySQL, click start next to MySQL. I think this is what we have been doing here on this. Okay, so we've started MySQL there, and it is running. Okay, just like that. Okay, so now here on the fourth step, it is telling us to open our browser. Open Chrome, Edge, or Firefox. Type localhost in the address bar and press enter. You should see the example welcome dashboard page. Now let's see if you are going to see an example welcome dashboard page. If we say localhost, okay, localhost, okay, localhost. So we're going to do this localhost. We say okay, that is good. Welcome to XAMPP for Windows. This is the one that we have here. Welcome to XAMPP for Windows. This is what we have here. XAMPP Apache plus Maria plus PHP plus Perio. These are the same features that we talked about area where we said we have got this cross-platform Apache, Maria, PHP, Perio. These are the ones that we have here. Yeah, these are the ones that we have: Apache, Maria, PHP, then Perio, just like that. Why? Because this one, it is what? It is on. Because this Apache, it is what? It is on. Now, I want to make a very simple demonstration here. Let's try to switch off this. We see what is going to happen. Then we go back to what? To our web server here. Okay, to our web server, which is Microsoft Edge, the one that I'm using right now, or rather web browser, not web server. Web browser, we try to refresh this. You see what is going to happen right now. Okay, so can't reach what? This page. Why? Because the web server is turned off. So now let's start this. What is this? The Apache. Okay, the Apache. Then we go back and refresh this. Of course, it will come back to life, just like that. Okay, so this is what all we are talking about right now, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, this is what we are talking about right now. Okay, so now here it says on the last point, it says type localhost PHPMYADMIN in the browser address bar. This opens the PHPMYADMIN interface where you can create databases and run SQL. Now, where are we going to find it? Okay, so now here it says type localhost PHPMYADMIN. Now we don't have to access it direct from here. Let's go back to the browser. I'm going to type exactly like I'm taught to do, or like we are taught to do. So we're going to say localhost. Okay, localhost here. We'll do this localhost. Then you say PHPMYADMIN like this. Then we hit enter there. We see what is going to happen. Okay. Finally, we have got this, which is the PHPMYADMIN. Here we are able to see this PHP MyAdmin. Why? It is because of what? Because of this. It is because of MySQL, which is what? Which is started here. Now, if we try to stop MySQL, then we go back here and refresh the page. Let's see what is going to happen right now. Okay, let's see what is going to happen right now. We see. Okay, you see these errors. We are going to see a lot of errors. Why? Because we have switched off this MySQL here. We have switched it off, and we have to switch this one on in order for us to do what? To access this page. So we do this. Okay, of course here it's back to life, just like that, ladies and gentlemen. This is very, very much simple and straightforward. Now if we go to the last part, which is PHPMYADMIN interface. So this is how it looks. PHPMYADMIN looks like this, ladies and gentlemen. This is how PHPMYADMIN looks, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, this is how it looks. If you go back to the browser here, you'll be able to see this. This is the interface for PHPMYADMIN. This is the interface for what? For PHPMYADMIN, ladies and gentlemen. This is the interface. So whenever you see something like this, similar to this, just know that this is, PHPMYADMIN we are talking about right now. But sometimes, what is this? PostgreSQL, the structure is similar to this, but do not even get confused. Here it is written PHPMYADMIN at the left, top corner there. It's written that PHPMYADMIN, so you don't have to get confused, ladies and gentlemen. This is very much simple and straightforward. Okay. Then what else do we have? We have got the key areas of PHPMYADMIN that you must put in mind. Key areas of PHPMYADMIN that you must put in mind. Okay, so we have got the first one, which is the left side bar. Left side bar. Which one is the left side bar? Now we go back to this one. Left side bar. This is our left side bar here. Okay, so now let's go and follow what it's trying to tell us. So list all databases. Click a database name to open it and see its tables. Okay, good. So what database do we have here? We have got app_db. Now if we click this app_db, we'll see a lot of tables. So these are the tables that we have. We've got catch_logs, failed_jobs, job _batches, migration, password _reset _token, person _access _token, posts, sessions, and as well as the users. You see this is the table title, simply showing that whatsoever is listed down there, what we call the tables. Well, these are the tables that we have in this app_db, just like that. Okay, then what else do we have here? Then we come back here. We have got the navigation tabs, structured SQL, search, query, export, import operations. Each tab serves a different functions. So now if we go back here, we have got this one, structure, SQL, search, query, export, import operations, privileges, and as well as runtimes. We have a lot of tabs that we have here. So you must understand each and every tab that we have in PHPMYADMIN, ladies and gentlemen. Okay, and we are not going to talk about these now. We'll talk about them later. Okay, so now here we have got this one, SQL tabs, where you type and execute structure query directory. This is your main workspace for practicals. SQL tab is your main workspace for what? For practicals now. So now what do we have here? If we say, okay, let's go back, we go to home back, we see what is going to happen right now. So we have got that one, SQL. Remember, I clicked here on the SQL there. What do we want to do? We want to create the database now. So now how are we going to create the database using SQL, structured query language codes? How are we going to do what to create the database? Now if you say create database Scalola, like this. Then we do this, create database Scalola. Then we say use Scalola like this, to do what? To create tables. So you are going to say to create tables. So you write another query now down there, create table users like this. Then you do this, create table users. Then after that you are going to say id int, of course you put int, then primary key. Okay, primary key. Then you will say primary key. Then we'll say auto increment down there. Then we'll put comma like this because we are still proceeding to another line. Then we're going to say name. Then you put in the data type, which is the virtual. What is this? Okay, name. We're going to say name. Then we say virtual. Then on the virtual here we'll put in the length to 100. Then we'll put in the constant as not new. Okay, not new like this. Okay, not new like that. Then we are going to close this one, and as well as with that. Okay, so now here we have got the database which is named Scalola, and we are going to use Scalola to create a table named users with 2 columns, ID and name. Now if we click here, we do this, you see what is going to happen right now. Okay, it is going to do what? To give us these green things, yellow things, which means our database has been successfully created. Okay, now since the database has been successfully created, where are we going to find this database here? Now we go back to this left side bar, list all databases click a database name to open it and see its tables. Now let's check the left side part. So you see this is Scalona here. This is the database. Now if we click on this database, you'll find that we have got users with one table. Now it is not going to display the table name that we have here, or it's not going to do what to display the columns that it has here. Now if we click this table, it is going to do what to display now the names that or the columns that it has, or the columns that it accommodates, just like that. Ladies and gentlemen, structure tab shows all tables in a database with their columns, types, and the laws. Counts, export, imports, export in databases as SQL files, backup, imports SQL file to restore or load data. So we will talk about these later, but otherwise it's not something difficult. It's something very, very much simple, ladies and gentlemen. If you have got any question, please, it is very, very much important to ask you where you are not clear. If you don't even know where to start from, please do not hesitate to reach out to me via 0976 1149 96, or you need to contact me via my email, obrianscarroll@gmail.com. I'll be very much happy to assist you. Thank you very much. We'll meet in the next tutorial where we're going to start the database itself. So now I thought of starting explaining this, the importance of this XAMPP, or rather understanding what XAMPP is, and as well as what PHPMYADMIN is, then, and as well as understanding the features of this XAMPP, what it means when you say cross-platform, Apache web server, MariaDB, PHPMYADMIN, and as well as the reason why it is very, very much important for us to do what to choose this XAMPP software over these other database software that we have. Then you also XAMPP control panel. I thought of let me just share this before we start the database itself, for it's very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Then we have got this one, starting XAMPP step by step. Of course, these are the step by step guide that you must do that you must know. Okay, that you must no. Okay, then here I didn't talk about troubleshooting tips, where we say port 8 blocks, close Skype or IIS first. So now, which means if your port 8 is blocked, which means it must be used with another software. Okay, so now you have to make sure that you check your softwares that you have. Most of the time you find that you have got MySQL Workbench installed in your computer using 3306 port, and of course this example PHPMYADMIN is using 3306 port. Of course there the computer cannot use two ports at once, so it has to make sure that it checks which software is the first one to do what to use this service, and that's where now MySQL it is grabbing the same port and use it immediately, because that MySQL Workbench is installed direct in the machine or in the computer's hard disk drive, unlike example PHPMYADMIN, which is installed together with example. So it is like PHPMYADMIN is PHPMYADMIN. It is running on top of XAMPP, and XAMPP is the one which is installed in the computer, and MySQL Workbench, it is running direct in the computer using 3306 port there. Okay, so you have to make sure that you check on the services here. You check on the services like this. You check on the services here to make sure that if you have got MySQL Workbench installed in your computer, it is off, or it is set to off. So like here, if you want this one to set it off, you click there, then you do what? You stop. And if this is MySQL Workbench, you've stopped it there, this XAMPP is not going to give you what? To give you errors. Just like that, you have to make sure that you do what? You switch it off there. Sometimes it gives a lot of errors. Just like that. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. We will meet in the next tutorial that we are going to create. Thank you very much. May God bless us all. Thank you.